lately we've been talking a lot about inflation, but tell me, what do you think about CBDCs? Do you think we're going to get a central bank digital currency in the near term?
I think that we very possibly could. The Federal Reserve has openly said they're building the framework for it, and we'll have, I believe, the framework ready by June of next year. Now, some people have said that Jerome Powell, he won't let that happen because that takes away a lot of his power. But I think...
And actually it was Danielle DiMartino Booth, who I would never argue with anything she says about the Fed. She said it doesn't take away his power. It completely makes the Fed unnecessary. It really gets rid of everything and all the need to have it. So she, not only for that reason, but Jerome Powell, the current chairman, is really against it. And she is sure he will veto it. So looking at the other side of the coin, there's just so much power available. I mean, could you imagine? What does a CBDC? Remember, there's a huge difference between Bitcoin and a central bank digital currency. These are polar opposites. Bitcoin, I have total anonymity. I have control. There is no central power. What is a central bank digital currency?
A central bank digital currency is basically just a currency that the government knows everything about, can track every transaction, can put money into your account or take money out of your account just like that whenever they want.
And a lot of people think that this will be used the next time there's a bailout or quantitative easing. It would be so easy to say, oh, you have to open your own account at the Fed, and we're just going to give you $300 a week or a month or whatever. And that would be a good way to get the general population to take this CBDC, even though they're giving up absolutely all of their privacy. My problem with that, and you tell me later what yours is if they can give you money just like that and stick it right in your bank account, then they can take it out just as quick. So we already have social credit scores in some countries. We have seen that if you say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, PayPal announced recently that they want to just take $2,500 out of your account, which, by the way, I heard now they're paying $15 to everyone to not close their accounts because there was so much backlash. That's a private company. What do you think? Do you trust your government enough? What do you think they would do if they could just go in at any time and add or subtract money? Do you think maybe that if you didn't do the things they wanted to do, or if you burned too much gas or weren't green enough, do you think they might use that against you?
They totally could. Another note another similar note is that price controls, if they wanted to try and implement something like that, they could make it so that choose what you're paying for, gas, loaf of bread, whatever else, and then just make it so you can't transfer more than X amount of dollars for a loaf of bread.
And you know, I did an Instagram video on price controls maybe 2 weeks ago. I think it was Belarus that implemented price controls. And every single time in all of history, once we get price controls, what do we have happen right after that?
Shortages of just about everything.
Right. I even asked somebody, I said, look, if we have price controls, she thought it was a great idea. She goes, why can't they do that in America? I said, well, let me ask you something. If you are selling a steak, we go out to Texas Roadhouse, we get a steak dinner. Maybe it's $25 for the steak. If it costs them $20 to buy the steak, and they still have to buy a potato, they got to pay somebody to cook it and make the salad, and somebody to seat us, and somebody to clean up the table after we're done. So it's maybe costing them $35 to do and provide all these services. They can't possibly sell that at $30. So what do? And the lady I was talking to says, well, they'll just take a little bit of a loss. Exactly how many steaks does your typical steakhouse sell a day? And how do you expect them to live if they're losing $5 every time? Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they just close the doors and say, well, no more paying rent, and all those people that have jobs here, they don't have jobs anymore? But you're going to see, and I think there'll be a lot of it, especially in Europe, but here in the US as well. Over the winter, there will be a lot of cold people. There will be a lot of hungry people. And I've been saying this since really the spring. They didn't plant enough crops. We have problems. And a lot of our food comes from Russia and the Ukraine, not here in the US, but a lot of Europe's food comes from those two countries. So you can blame it on whatever, but not only do they have a massive lack of power right now, they are going to have a lot of problems with the food because the harvest just won't be big enough to feed people. And we've already seen where all of these green initiatives, people just aren't willing to give their sirloin steak or their filet to eat some bugs. I mean, sure, a couple of movie stars made commercials like that, but I bet you as soon as she went home, she had a good steak afterwards.
Probably.
So, any last words that you'd like to add in?
I think that sums up most of it.
All right. Don't give up your power. Don't, under any circumstance, accept a CBDC. Because when you do, just like price controls, you're giving total control to the government. And that has never in history worked well. I won't even pick out one religion or one population. Think back through all of history, how many different examples there are of blindly trusting the government to take care of you and then not being taken care of. So, until the next time, buy more faster, stock up on hard assets, and watch out for government interference.